I was just listening to some of the podcasts with Lori, Chad, and Melanie, and I was just marveling at how normal Chad and Lori sound. And I have to admit, these people don't sound like dangerous people. They sound normal. Their beliefs might be unconventional, but they don't sound like people who are getting ready to commit a crime. I'm struggling because everything in their podcast is to do with enlightenment, helping people, finding answers, and getting through challenges. There is nothing sinister I can glean from Lori and Chad's podcast. But you know what? I think that this is true for many sociopaths. They don't sound and behave as if they are bad people. They present themselves as nice people. They behave as if they're normal people. And they don't sound like depraved killers. And they use their charm and their fake facades to lure people in. So I'm going to play an excerpt so that you can all listen. You might have heard this already. I won't be surprised if you have, but I'm just going to play an excerpt.
Because who's on the other side of that obstacle? That's your relationship with Christ. He's over there waiting. And then we came to this earth, Jason does a great bit about this when he speaks to the youth about the pre-mortal life and all the things that he would be expecting when he got here. And I just loved it because we're all here. And in this day in 2018, we're here to exercise our agency. We're here to learn and to grow. And there's not one person out there, not one person who isn't having personal challenges.
Laura, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Everybody is facing their own, what's called an Abrahamic trial.
That's right.
We all have to come to that point where we have to decide who's in charge. And if he's in charge, then this is part of the plan.
And it's agency, right? And it's our own individual selves. So you really can't decide for your husband or wife. You really can't decide for your parents or your kids. Each person came down here to exercise their agency and to overcome those obstacles. And we all wanted to do it. I feel like we all had that desire to come here to get over that obstacle to get to where Christ is.
And you can't do anything for anybody else until you are squared away yourself, until you have gotten over that obstacle yourself. You can't stand on this side of the barrier and tell everybody else to get over it. It's no big deal if you haven't done it yourself.
I never did it, but you can do it.
Can do this.
I'm a cheerleader. You can do it.
Yeah. The scriptures are replete with the verse to cleanse the inner vessel. And that's ground zero. That is the impact point. It has to start with you. It has to start with your own personal testimony. If you want to be this warrior, this modern day warrior, if you want to be there for Christ on his side, then the first thing that you have to do is cleanse the inner vessel.
And I had to show my kids by my example about how Christ could change me. Instead of worrying about what they could or couldn't do, or if I wasn't good or good enough for them, I had to really focus on how Jesus Christ could actually change me.
Right.
And so I look forward to sharing that in another podcast that we're going to do together, a little bit more about my journey. And then Lori will also do that as well.
Yeah, we're all here supporting each other because we have all been to the bottom rung, and Christ pulled us out of that.
Yep.
So we all have that same story that we want to help inspire other people. If you are in the pit right now, we want to help you reach out and get over those obstacles.
And being a member of our church is just where we go to church. These are eternal principles. You don't have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints to appreciate these principles and use them in your lives. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ given to you from a warrior's perspective. And so regardless of your faith, where you go to church, who you pray to, these are eternal. This is natural law. These are the laws that govern the universe. This is how you're successful regardless of where you pray or who you pray to.
Which is what I love about the warrior ethos that you're going to go over for us, hopefully soon, because it really can help every single person, man, woman, and child. And it's just the ethos helps each person just become the warrior they can be.
Right.
Not the warrior Jason is. None of us want to chase a guy down a dark alley and have
So fun.
suffer the injuries
so
that you suffer.
Getting paid a lot of money to beat people up and that's just one small aspect of law enforcement. But being able to help people is what I really enjoy doing, because when people call for a cop, it's usually the worst moment of their lives.
Yeah.
And to be able to go there and help them resolve their issues, and sometimes their issues mean they need to face their problems. That may be how to solve the issue. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't agree with that, and it requires a use of force that is appropriate. And hopefully the officer that's there is trained enough to know what's appropriate. And I'm not saying that I excelled at doing things like that. Making neighborhoods safe by dealing with that one person, or taking the drug dealer off the streets, or catching the terrorist, or whatever it is.
Stuff we all do every day. Right, Melanie? Right.
Well, no, it's perspective. It's all perspective, because there's other people that are saving the world, through financial means, or there's doctors that are doing the right thing for the right reasons, and maybe backing off on the opioids and working on natural healing, maybe being, mature enough to look at a guy and go, it's because you're 400 pounds and you smoke.
Right.
Maybe we shouldn't take the drugs. Maybe you should stop with the cigarettes and the donuts. And that's having that warrior mentality, is loving somebody enough to tell them the truth.
Right.
To look them in the eyes and go, look, this isn't right. And it ends with me. Because that's what Christ would do.
That's right.
Well,
we're here to tell the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly about our lives. We're exposing ourselves because we want to help others who may feel like they've been in the same position, or maybe are now, and need some help climbing out of that.
And that's what's so cool about this podcast medium, is that we can have these discussions for a very long time about all different types of topics, and we can talk to other people through email and through social media, and give them advice from our perspective and things like that. But incorporating the warrior ethos into your life is probably one of the most significant things, temporal things, that you can do to change your life. And
is he full of crap? Is he another Jim Jones? And the truth of the matter is that he sounds very normal. He doesn't sound like somebody who's about to commit murder. He doesn't sound like somebody who's about to commit a crime. But is he using charm? Is he luring people in with charm? Is he luring people in with this normal facade? Because I was trying to fill in some of the missing pieces. Lori Vallow's son, Colby, said that after the death of Charles, everything went downhill from there. And he said that basically she didn't look upset about it at all. Apparently, after her husband died, she was having a party. I believe that either Lori is hiding these children to prepare for the end of times, or they are deceased. And the thing is, if they are deceased, they may never be found, which really frightens me. I mean, maybe I could be absolutely wrong. I'm not saying they're deceased. I want these children to be found, and I want to be wrong. I can tell you that. This is where I want to be wrong. So either she's hiding these children, preparing for this end of times, or they're deceased. And if they're deceased, I fear that they're not going to be found, or it's going to be hard for them to be found. Because last night I was thinking to myself, forests, woods, tall trees, that's where I think they could be. I think they could be in a wooded, heavily forested area, maybe somewhere with a creek. And I'm not saying that I'm necessarily right. I don't know. Because I just had this gut feeling that these children were in a wooded, forested area among tall trees, not necessarily Yellowstone National Park. Much of this thinking is to do with my sheer frustration that there has been no real movement in this case. I want to be wrong. And Chad sounds like a nice guy. And Lori sounds like a very pleasant person when you listen to these podcasts. So where has it all gone wrong?